Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon to one and all. Hope you are at your best in this pandemic. I am Shamal Tripathi and I will be your host for this session. This year, we are raising the bar for our hackathon, which looks back on our successful triumphs. Hence, we feel proud and honored to be the flag bearers for hackCBS 4.0 this year by organizing it in virtual form. To make the most of this time and to help channelize the talent and energy of our developer community, this year we are hosting a series of qualitative workshops and lecture sessions at hackCBS 4.0. For more details on the session, be sure to visit our website hackcbs.tech. We hope to make these sessions as mindful and informative for all of you as possible so that you can prepare to create your own hack by collaborating and contributing. So let's get started with the session for today. Now, talking about today's session, this session will cover in detail knowledge of what basic steps do you require for getting started with Twilio. With that said, let me introduce you all to the speaker of today's session, Aditya Oberai. Aditya is a DevRel Engineer at AppWrite and also the MLH coach at hackCBS 4.0. Having worked with various technologies such as .NET, Microsoft Azure, etc., he has spent the last 2 years empowering tech communities as an MLH coach, Twilio champion, Gold Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, and a Google Developer Student Club lead. He has been awarded Azure Heroes Community Hero and an AI Ambassador Digital Badges by Microsoft and is a member of .NET Foundation. We invite you, Aditya, and anticipate your discussion. The virtual stage is all yours.
Thank you so much for that lovely, extensive introduction. Hi, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. I'm looking at the chat and I'm so happy to see the entire buzz here. It's always great to have all you folks around, actively participating, listening, and I'm just really glad to have you all here. So, Shamal gave such a lovely introduction. I don't think I need to say more myself, but yeah, I'm as far as I go, I'm just another student, just experimenting, playing around with different technologies, and just making my way in domains that I kind of enjoy. That's probably the simplest way to express what I do. And one of these spaces that has helped me grow substantially personally is hackathons. I have been active with hackathons for the last 3 years now. I started off with my first hackathon as an organizer back in 2019 start. This was like first year. And that hackathon was the reason I kind of got my first glimpse of what a community could be like. And that's where I made my start. So I've had a lot of fun at hackathons as an organizer, as a participant, and one of these technologies that I love leveraging when I'm a participant in my hacks, because this is really nice, fun to work with, is Twilio. So, when the Hack CVS team reached out to me asking that, if I could talk about Twilio, I love doing that. I just love talking about Twilio. I'm literally wearing a Twilio tee right now. Yeah, Twilio is really cool, and I'm really happy to be able to at least give you all a glimpse of potentially what you can do with Twilio. It's a really cool tech, so I'm really excited to talk about it today. Now, um, considering that we've got, we're going to be discussing what this platform, what these technologies are about, and I have a teeny tiny live demo planned as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a second to shift all of us here on the right side. Now, this is just my second display is here. I want my primary display when I'm working with code eventually, and just when I'm showing you different things about Twilio. So that's all I've done. Nothing more than that. If I'm looking here, it means I'm looking at the chat, folks. All right. So if you see me doing that, it's just the chat. Don't worry too much about it. Now, let's talk a little about what Twilio is, of course, because we've been talking and mentioning Twilio, but not a lot of us actually know what Twilio does, right? What it actually is. So Twilio is a cloud communications as a service platform that allows you to leverage aspects such as voice calls, text messages, to help you engage, connect better with your audience and customers. it's quite a cool platform. It has quite a lot of offerings. I'm going to share my screen one so that we can also see a little more on their website and then their console as well. So I believe my screen should be um yeah, my screen should be coming up now. So there we are. That's Twilio's website. It's you go to that. They've got some nice illustrations. It's cool. It seems very large, extensive, professional, and that's there. Their products. They've made them for developers, of course. They've got some really cool developer centric APIs, but at the same time, they've got amazing professional industry use cases as well. So it's quite a cool technology that you all can explore. And I'm sure you might have heard of some of these. Like if you've ever heard of SendGrid for mass emailing, that's something that Twilio maintains as well. They are a subsidiary of Twilio, so their email API is essentially SendGrid here. Along with that, we've got their messaging API that lets you send and receive text messages. We've got programmable voice, which lets you make, receive, and monitor phone calls. We've got video that actually lets you build real-time video applications. Twilio Live is something that just came up that allows you to build interactive audio and video live streaming experiences. These are the different channels they cater to. Aside from that, they've got some of their own applications, such as Flex, which is a cloud contact center. You've got aspects for marketing campaigns, Segment for your customer data management. They've got quite a chunk of stuff. So we're going to be playing around with two particular APIs today that are messaging and programmable voice. Those are two that we end up using quite. I've used these two most in my hacks, and I like working with these. They've got very comfortable experiences, so we'll play around with them. And for these, we'll be getting ourselves a phone number from Twilio as well. So you can all check out this website. It's just twilio.com. Easy to find. They've got some cool stuff happening here. It's nice. It's just nice to experience. But anyway, I'm gonna send a link here in the private chat that lets you register on Twilio. All right. I believe if you're at an MLH hackathon, you get $50 worth of credits along in your trial. So I'm gonna send over that link, and our organizers can go ahead and share that in the chat once. And it seems like that link I send them does not have HTTP. I'm just gonna send that. So yeah, now the link that we're sending will actually give you some free credits that you can use and work with. So typically a Twilio account has about $15 worth of trial credits. With MLH's link, you'll be able to get 65, which is pretty cool. All right. So yeah, I'm here on the website. You can go ahead. You can register using the link that we've just shared. I'm looking at the chat. You've not missed too much. We were just talking a little about what Twilio is. The organizers have sent in a link using which you can register for Twilio. It's just going to be like, the link that I sent in. Uh, Once you go ahead and you type it in, it's just going to take you to a registration page with the promo code. So this promo code actually gets you extra credits when you register. That's really all it is. So you can go ahead, you can do that. Once you're registered, you're going to see a console of this sort, the one that's going to load up for me now. So up here, I see my first Twilio project. It shows my project info, my balance, referrals, account SID, not token. These are going to be crucial when we're building. They're very, very important aspects of our projects. So definitely, this is not something you should show anyone because account SID and not token here are the equivalent of your username and password. So make sure that you keep these secret. I have a way by which I'm going to be keeping these secret because I've already got a little class that I have for my console app that I'm going to be showing when we build our samples. Now, when we get our Twilio account, one thing we need to do is go ahead and make sure we have a phone number. All right. So I currently have a phone number, but you should go ahead and buy one if you're creating your first account. And you can find these all easily within our solution. Now, if we, if when we're getting our first phone number with India, there is a phone number request because there are certain local regulations. Within this, though, you can also get numbers from other countries. Like for the US, it's something you can actually get very quickly. You can just buy it instantly here. When I bought my number, I think at that point they did not have support for Indian numbers. So I also have a US number, and that's something you will be able to work with when it comes to this sort of project. So you can get a US number to work with. It should be all right. And make sure you keep all these capabilities open. Although we just need SMS in this session, it's always cool to have all of these in case you want to experiment. Like we're going to be using SMS and voice, sorry, both of these. But having all of those capabilities is just going to be beneficial for you. So it will be cool if you can have that. You should also go ahead and add, a verified. You can have a verified phone number as well. Like for me, I have my number added here. It's something you should keep because what happens is that in your trial you will need to ensure that the number you're calling and testing with is a verified caller ID. This is to ensure that you're not actually like no one ends up spamming using these numbers. So that's why we keep a verified caller ID. Make sure you do that if it's your test number. So with me, since I've bought my number, you can find my active number. Yours as well on this section. It's got the number I use for Twilio here for for my purposes for my work, and it's the number I'm going to be using today. So I've shown you the console. You can also actually monitor anything that's going on in your in your projects. Whenever you're triggering Twilio's APIs here, you can find any error logs for messaging, calls, otherwise. So it's pretty good that way. Like if I look at messages, some of this stuff is in beta, but I can actually get some insights here based on whatever. Like there's quite some information available. At the same time, with error logs, those are ones that will probably come up somewhere in the middle, if not for messaging, for calls definitely. So that tends to be yeah. So there we have my call logs. So it's gonna show your busy, your failed calls, all of that. It's quite informative that way, and definitely a pretty nifty tool. So let me go ahead. I'm just gonna go. We'll go back to our develop page because we don't really need this right now. The logs, that's gonna be something that comes up later. For messaging and all, you can actually find an overview. You can try it out here directly as well, but we're not gonna do that. We can see all the information. We can see any events that crash, all of that. There's so much information in here, but right now this is not something we need. So I'm just gonna go back to my console, and yeah, we're just gonna let this be. Now I do want to show how you can create a Twilio application, like just implement Twilio using in a console app right now. The platform I'm gonna be using is .NET because I love working with .NET. That being said, you can actually use Twilio with quite the variety of platforms. So if I show you Twilio's docs right now, and they've got absolutely wonderful docs. Put this link here as well. So if I just open the SMS docs for a second, you can find all of these platforms here that you can use. You've got quick starts for PHP, for .NET, Java, Node.js, Ruby, Python, and I think they now have an open API spec as well. So that should actually help you take this experience over to other platforms if you'd like. They've got their range of SDKs, libraries mentioned here, right? So these are all server-side helper libraries you have, and there's the open API spec that can let you, you know, take this experience forward to other platforms as well. So I'm just gonna close this for a second. We're gonna go back. I have my shell here. I'm gonna zoom in for a bit. Now the solution I'm gonna creating is just on my on my desktop. So I'm just gonna leave this there. I'm gonna add a command that creates a new console application for me, and I'm gonna call it Learn Twilio. Simple name. So it's creating a .NET console application for me. Once again, you can use any of the other languages you want, and all of these have their quick starts. So if suppose you want to go ahead, um, you want to check how you can work with SMS and just set up or start an application for you for something like Node.js, for example, you can quickly find how you can install Node.js in the Twilio module for you. So it's pretty convenient that way. It shows how you can sign up, buy a number, install for Node.js, right? So it's just pretty convenient that way. And they've got the code sample here for you to view. So definitely a very nifty tool that you can leverage. So it seems like uh, my console app is ready. So I'm just gonna go ahead and we'll see if it's all up there. Yep, it is. I'm gonna open this in VS Code. Looks like VS Code is just taking a second to open. Yep, it's coming up. There it is. So now that I see, I can see my little console app here that is there. This is just a generic .NET console app. If I wanna, just test and see if everything is fine in here, I just go ahead, run the command .NET run. It builds it for the first time for me. As I can see, there's a bin folder there, and we should be getting a response quickly. Okay, there are some. I'm actually, yeah, it runs. We've got our hello world there. So I'm just gonna remove this console output for a second. Because the first few things we need, as I mentioned in our application, whenever we're working with Twilio, is our account SID and auth token, right? So I'm just gonna create a variable for account SID. It's gonna be a string, so I'll just leave it as this. For the auth token as well, I'm just gonna leave it as a string for now because I want to show where you can get these details from once again. So if we go back to the console, we can find both of these here. These both are strings, so you can you just take them as strings. Now I don't want to show my auth token up here on screen right now, but what I did was I had a little class I created for me earlier. So that little file you see there has my auth token, my account SID, as well as the number my Twilio number that I showed earlier, and the number I'll call, which is my number. So I'm just gonna shift this here because I don't have an environment set up in the meantime. So I haven't done that. Whenever you're building full applications, though, web apps and all, it's always recommended to use environment variables. Even if you look at the documentation examples right now, you will see that it leverages environment variables. So make sure that's a habit you maintain. For now, though, I have my information in that file, so I'm just going to use that. So let me go ahead and replace this with my account SID. And that's just a variable with the same value that I showed you earlier. That's all it is. And my auth token. Now, of course, uh, you know, we need to install the Twilio package as well for us, right? We need the Twilio package, like in npm. There's an npm install. So in .NET we use the NuGet package manager for these purposes, and I'm gonna use the .NET the NuGet package manager for .NET to get the Twilio SDK in this file. So as you can see, it's getting all of that information for me from NuGet, and it's just gonna install this here. So once this is done, it seems like it's installed. the latest version. It's also something you can see in the CS proj. It shows that we have a package reference for Twilio. It shows our target framework. And like with .NET, this if you work with Node, this is the equivalent of a package.json. Here it's a CS proj. That's what it is. So you can see that the package reference is added here. It means that we've got Twilio. All right. So I'm just gonna close this for a second. Actually, let me zoom in. This should make it easier for folks to read and understand what I'm doing. All right, now that we have Twilio, uh, next thing we need to do is we want to initialize the Twilio client, but it seems like I don't have the reference for me right now. One thing about well, VS Code, once you have these extensions installed, it makes life so much easier. So I can just add my references for using this little bulb here. You can also use the control dot, or if you're on a Mac, command dot uh, to do that. And it just quickly adds a reference for you. So for me, it's just going to add Twilio client, and I want to initialize this. So I'm going to do that. Now, when I am here, it shows me a little, it shows me what is expected here, what sort of format this function expects. So I mentioned earlier that our account SID is like a username and the auth token is a password. So I'm just going to add those details for a second. So I have my account SID and my auth token. Our Twilio client is now initialized. Now, first thing that we want to do this session here, I want to show how we can have and just send a little message. So that's what I'm going to do now. So for that, we're gonna use a function that the Twilio SDK has called message resource. Create like message resource. Message resource is the class, and then you can create a message from there. So I'm just gonna do that. I'll have a variable for me that's our message, just as well. Yeah, and for that I just like spaces here. All right, so I'm gonna create a message resource for me. And it wasn't showing up there. That's because there's another reference we need to add, which comes along with the Twilio SDK for the API. So I added that, and now we can see the different classes this has. So I'm just gonna create a message resource here. The message resource takes three things into consideration. The first thing is the number you're calling, of course. So here we're gonna be using a phone number. Now I see it shows me an autocomplete, but I don't want that entire Twilio types mentioned. So I'm just gonna add a reference for that as well. And within this, we add the phone number we want. Now the to number is in here in these secrets as well. The next thing we want to add is a from number. This is the number that calls. So it's essentially a Twilio phone number. All right. It's also available in secrets. This is the number you actually end up purchasing. All right. One thing to note, make sure whenever you use the numbers, it's the full number with the country code. That's something that is necessary for both of these numbers. So make sure you have that. The other thing is the message body, of course, for the SMS. So for that, we decide, hey everyone, thanks for joining hackCBS. And yeah, actually that was good. So that's our message here that we're working with. Now I just want to do one thing. Like I want a little console output just to know that my message is sent. So I'm gonna add a console write line. That's just prints a line on the console. And within that, I'm gonna have my message SID. We can also have a message status. I mean, I'll just add the message status as well. I think that's a good idea to keep around. So now that our messaging function is ready, and as you can see, it's just a few lines. I'm gonna go ahead. Let's give this a little test run. So yeah, just clear that. I'm gonna run this function here. How is it? Uh, how you all finding it, by the way? In case you have any queries, please feel free to throw them here in the chat. I'll keep looking here and glancing, so we can have those in there. So it seems like the messages, as there is an asset, it's been created and queued to send. So I'm gonna check now on my phone to see whether I've received it by now. And it seems like I have. So if I'm just opening my phone, I'm just to show the message. Now, if you look at my phone right now, you can see that there's a message. Hey everyone, thanks for joining hackCBS. That's exactly the message that we sent, right? So that's pretty cool. You can see that the message has been sent, and yeah, the function works, which is great. That's how easy it is to send messages through Twilio. Now, messaging is one thing, but we also want to try and send a phone call, maybe. So I'm just gonna go ahead, comment this out, because we're now gonna try sending, like creating a phone call that's gonna come to my phone. So again, call this variable call, and we're gonna leverage the call resource now. All right. It's gonna be very similar, but there's gonna be one little change we're gonna see here. So I think for to and from, I can actually just copy these. It's the same. But for the body, we can't just add it as a message. Now with Twilio uses its own markup when it comes to phone calls, because there are different aspects, details to Twilio's calls that you can have. So we're going to use a very basic version of it. We're just going to leverage your basic TWIML here. Now TWIML stands for Twilio Markup Language, as I was mentioning the other one markup. It's not going to be too complex or anything. So I think it should be comfortable to understand. So yeah, first thing we add here is response. I'm also gonna close this off, and it seems like now the next thing we wanted to do is say out a message in the call. So I'm just gonna add that. And again, these have certain different attributes you can have. I'm just gonna keep it as bare bones minimal as possible for now. And it's something you can continue exploring later on as well. So for the response, you can go ahead. We'll just add, hey everyone, thanks for joining at hackCBS. You're all awesome. Nice little message. Once again, we're gonna keep the console. We'll just print it. But it's gonna be a little easier to catch this one because if all goes well, I'm gonna get a call on my phone right now. So yeah, just gonna go ahead once again, console write line. We're gonna go print the call SID and the call status. So I have my message commented out. I'm just gonna run this one, hoping this works. Yeah. and it seems like this works. I think though, yeah, my phone was connected to my headphones, but you can see we're getting a call, and I'm gonna run it on speaker.
Thanks for joining at hackCBS. You're all awesome.
So yeah, I think that was audible, right? We could all hear that. That was definitely pretty cool. The function definitely works. So it's pretty cool that way, right? Uh, all it took with us was just what, a few lines of code, and we were through. Just we were able to send this phone call. It's actually pretty nice because you can go ahead, you can add these two different serverless functions, create all fun kinds of solutions, or if you want to send out notifications or messages, it's a great tool to achieve that. And while these were very rudimentary cases that we discussed, um, there's a lot more you can do with Twilio, whether it's around authentication, whether it's around customer relations, whether it's for authentication. They've got their own authentication offering as well, right? They've got quite a variety of products you can explore. Like I just showed messaging and voice. You can have email, video, chat. You can have live chat. Um, Notifications, push notifications are possible with Twilio. There's autopilot to create bots on the different channels you have. Let's live streaming. Along with that, they've got so many other solutions. Account security, like I said, there's verification and auth for multi-factor authentication. So there's just so many different features they have that you can use. Functions, they finally got serverless functions, which is still in beta, but it's something that they've got support for Node right now, I believe, but you can have serverless functions directly in here. So it's definitely a very, very, very cool platform that you can play around with. And you can actually host that YML up here. So I'm actually going to make this little change and show it once. So I had a few little things that I had. I'm going to name this hackCBS. But basically, that YML we wrote earlier, I can just cut this. So since that YML is essentially, in an XML format, um, we can just see this here, and then you can have all of this information added to check whenever you want, and it actually validates your syntax for you as well. So if I suppose make a little edit here, it's going to show me that my syntax is invalid. So if I go ahead and I create this little bin, it's going to give me a URL. So now when I use this application, instead of having YML here, I can just have a URL, right? And I can have my YML URL in here. So if I just save this once and run the solution now, I should get another call. So it seems like, yeah, the call has been sent, and we're getting the call right now. Now it just seems like I've saved this as work Twilio because I just use this number a lot for my playing around. But yeah.
One. Thanks for joining at hackCBS. You're all awesome.
So I think that was pretty nifty, really cool. It all works. So that was the little demo I had. I should also have this a similar sort of an example that shows my YML up on my GitHub already. So I can throw that link here. You can check it out later for this sample at least. It showcases our version for using YML and then the other stuff. I've shared it for the organizers. I believe they can send it over. So yeah, that was definitely pretty cool. Um, Now I'm just gonna go through the chat because I think that was we've got a live demo. We can take a few queries at this point. If the organizers want to join me on for this, it'd be nice. It'll be fun to have that as well. So just scrolling up. I think Akash had the first question on whether we're going to integrate it. Yeah, we did use the SDK once. Does Twilio offer chatbot facility? Yeah. I think I showcased a few different products, and one of them was Twilio Autopilot. And Autopilot allows you to create, if it's their conversational AI, it lets you create bots for your purpose. So that's the way to go. The USP of Twilio is that it's as a platform, it is a developer friendly one. It's made for developers. It's definitely convenient to work with, and the huge variety of products it offers, that it's immense. I don't think as far as competitors go, you're going to see this sort of a variety. That being said, don't be afraid to explore other options. There are some really cool other communications platforms like OneAge as well. So you can definitely have a look at them. But yeah, Twilio's got quite the range of services. They've got a developer friendly experience, at least in my opinion, and it's a highly reliable platform as well. So few good perks there. What is the tech that powers Twilio? That's an interesting question. Um, I will say that I don't have an immediate answer at the moment. The reason for that is at the end of the day, Twilio is a company. I'm not sure if they've showcased their entire platform architecture. But yeah, I will say that while I can't talk too much about the tech that powers Twilio, you can use and power a lot of your solutions using Twilio. So that's something that probably I hope that helps. Yash asked if .NET is necessary for Twilio. The answer is no. There's a lot of platforms you can work with. They've got SDKs for Java, Node.js, something for Python, for Golang. I think they've got a few other platforms. You have something for iOS, Android, all of those as well. So JavaScript, obviously, for the client side, I believe they have something too. So there's a lot of different platforms you can use with Twilio, and like beyond these, their open API spec is available, so that should actually help you generate some SDKs for yourself if you want to. So for the docs, I think Twilio docs is the best example. I personally feel they've created a really cool experience, and it's highly interactive. You're able to see your code for the sample that shows a progressive step-by-step sequential experience. You've got documentation for all the different options. You've got the quick starts for different platforms as well as API references. So overall, it's a really good resource to have a look at. Ankur says that they're not very good with documentations. I think reading documentation is an art of its own. It's something that not a lot of us are good at when we start off, but I will say try it out, because documentations, whether it's for Twilio or any other platform, are actually the best places for you to figure out how to work with these technologies, because these are directly by the people who are creating them. So try your hand at it. Twilio really has a very lovely documentation. It should help you, take your first few steps and go ahead. What do I think is why Twilio is looked up to for as far as from a business perspective. Like, okay, so one really cool thing about Twilio is that they've emphasized a lot on their customer experience. They've heavily ensured that anyone with whatever enterprise it is, they get consistent, in-depth, quality customer experience at all points of time. which actually makes it far more easier to engage with brands. At the same time, when we talk about it from a tech experience, aside from like Twilio is not just a messaging software; it's an API developer platform. It's built for developers. Uh, that makes a big difference as well. It's also why uh, why a lot of developers and organizations like working with Stripe, because it's made for developers. That's a big benefit that these platforms have, and at the same time, it's also that Twilio has quite the range of services. It's a very complete customer platform, because you're not just ensuring that you have the communications. They've got a platform to ensure your customer data pipelines. Uh, they've got a lot happening with them. So there's something uh, affiliated and related to the use cases that most people would have with these platforms, and that makes it a great go-to, because it's all, you've got everything under one umbrella. So in fact, a lot of organizations that are sending out OTPs are using platforms like these in messages. So you can actually do that with Twilio. There's a little lag in getting call. That's also because I'm compiling and building every time on my device. Had it been just a single trigger, it doesn't take as much. Of course, there's some amount of dependence on my internet as well, because I'm triggering it here from my laptop. But that being said, if you're on an enterprise server, if that's well connected with the internet, it's gonna decrease the amount of time. The amount of duration you see isn't actually just because it's just triggering time, but it's also because I changed the application, so it has to rebuild. So that's some of the timing. Twilio definitely has really cool swags. I think I have my coding gloves lying around somewhere. If anyone wants to see, I'm not sure if I have them in my. I'll have to look for them once. I don't think I have them immediately around me right now, but I'm rocking Twilio swag. I like Twilio swag. It's pretty cool. Which script to run in my, so I'm just running it's the basic .NET run command. That's all it is. In order to have it running though, you'll first actually need the .NET SDK as well. But I believe you can leverage, like you can make something in any platform that you like. If you're working with JavaScript, Python, any of those, you can you can create a version for that, and you can leverage that with your docs. I honestly um, showcased a lot of what you could understand looking at the quick starts in the Twilio docs. So it was supposed to be a simple, easy to understand example, and you can actually check it out. Now, as far as being a paid service goes, sure, like so when we talk about the trial APIs, these are there for testing purposes, right? If you're going into a production solution, you would end up upgrading, but for the trial, it's there to help you build and create and test your solutions. When you take it out to the world as a full-fledged application, it's another matter altogether. But yeah, this is there for testing. Does the country chosen for the phone number matter? It does. Of course, latency is another point. Aside from that, pricing makes is different as well. That's why the only reason I mentioned the US number is because you can just get it immediately, and it's all right for testing. So not bad. That being said, for a production use case, if you're leveraging it for a startup, please get it for your own country. Um, this was just a test use case, nothing more than that. I see I see a question around how people can use the Learn Twilio repo. There's just a code example. You don't have to copy and run it. Just make it for yourself. It's a very basic solution, and it's you can actually build this all use looking at the quick starts in the doc. How can we use Twilio in our hacks? Okay, I built a very fun, interesting hack sometime back. Although this was more on stream back at MLH Init. So I built an app that could rickroll people. So I just enter the number and it calls them and rickrolls them. Aside from that, though, just like you could integrate serverless functions or something with your calendar to send you push notifications on your message or your email, or just call you up when you want, or you could have a little, if you want to use If you want to have multi-factor authentication, Authy is supported. That's a Twilio product. You can have emailing functions using SendGrid. That's a hack idea. So, you know, there are a few different ways you can try it out. Wherever you want to communicate with any users, either the one that is using your platform or someone beyond, Twilio is great to use. You have options like push notifications and all available. So that's the way to go. I'm running out of water. I'm just filling my glass once again. All right. Do we have any other queries coming in as well?
So I think that's the end of all the questions. I think we have no more
Oh, that's
questions
cool.
here. Yeah, okay. So it was indeed a very insightful session. Thank you so much, Aditya, for enlightening us with your knowledge. It was really good to seek all the information from you. It was amazing hosting you today.
Thank
Thank
you
you once
so much
again.
for having me. And Sandeep, what I built with my Rickroll app was essentially exactly that. It was just I use that to prank my friends from time to time if I want to. But that being said, please use these tech responsibly. Don't just mess around with people with this. That's a responsibility we have to carry as people working with tech. So, yeah.
That's great. And thanks to our very patient audience too. We hope you are enlightened and will make full use of all the knowledge imparted today. To know more what we have in store for you all this time, do not forget to join our Discord server and check out our website hackcbs.tech. The link of our website is dropped in the chat box for you all to visit and register. We surely don't want you to miss out on amazing swags and prizes worth $50,000. So, guys, our registration ends soon. So, hurry up now and grab your boarding pass for HackCBS 4.0. And one more important announcement, guys. We will start with the check-ins after this session. So, do not forget to check your Discord. Link of the Discord is given in the chat box, and we will have our opening ceremony today at 6 p.m. So, guys, do set up your alarms for that, and we hope to see you all there. Thank you very much.